Okay, let's get into this. You shared some really fascinating source material. It outlines this deeply unsettling scenario.
Mm-hmm.
A mysterious star affecting global freshwater with huge implications.
Yeah, it's quite something. And the sources link it, interestingly, to a biblical text, suggesting this catastrophic event may be symbolic, may be literal, that makes water bitter.
Right. So our mission today, let's unpack the key facts, about Earth's water, pinpoint the big potential impact zones, and then explore these two really sharply contrasting ideas from the sources about where this might actually happen.
Exactly. And what's striking really is how the research boils down the water situation. It's stark.
How so?
Well, only about 3% of all Earth's water is fresh water, just 3.
Okay.
And then, get this, only 0.3% not of the fresh water, but of all water on Earth is the usable surface water we rely on, our main drinking source.
0.3%. Wow, that's tiny.
It is tiny.
Yeah.
And crucially, 87% of that tiny fraction is found in lakes.
So lakes are overwhelmingly where our accessible fresh water is.
Precisely. And this hypothetical event, a single star, it says, makes a third of this usable surface water bitter. The text specifically mentions it falling on rivers and springs too, implying, widespread contamination.
Okay, so if lakes hold the vast majority, and we're talking about contaminating a third of the total usable surface water, where are the biggest candidates? The sources must point to some major locations.
They do. They focus on the sheer scale needed. You need absolutely massive bodies of water. The research highlights 3 main global lake systems.
Right.
First, North America, the Great Lakes, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, Ontario.
Yeah.
Shared by the U.S. and Canada.
Huge. We're talking what kind of volume?
Staggering. Around 22,686 cubic kilometers, potentially impacting over 30 million people directly dependent on that water.
30 million, just from the Great Lakes. Okay, what's next?
Then you jump over to Asia. Lake Baikal in Russia and Lake Khovsgol in Mongolia. Together, they hold roughly 24,095 cubic kilometers, affecting maybe over 1 million people in that region.
Okay, Baikal and Khovsgol. And the third system?
Africa, an enormous interconnected system. Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, and Lake Victoria. Combined, it's about 30,050 cubic kilometers.
Wow.
The potential human impact there. Over 200 million people. It's immense.
That's just incredible scale. And the source material also threw another one in there, didn't it? A river system.
It did, yeah. The Amazon River points out it supplies something like 20% of the world's total freshwater discharge into the oceans. So another potential major target.
Okay, so massive lakes, a giant river. But here's where it gets really interesting, geopolitically speaking. The sources present 2 completely different theories on where this star might strike.
Right.
And we need to be really clear here. We're just laying out these viewpoints as presented in the research. We're not endorsing either one.
Absolutely. Impartial reporting is key here. So, viewpoint 1 suggests the target would likely be a superpower.
Like the U.S.
Specifically mentions the U.S. Great Lakes, yes. The rationale given is that creating that kind of intense water scarcity in a major power could be a way to control populations, destabilize democracy.
And potentially allow some other entity to gain dominance.
That's the idea presented. Weakening existing power structures from within using a fundamental resource.
Okay. And the second viewpoint, it kind of flips that on its head, doesn't it?
It really does. Viewpoint 2 argues the opposite. It suggests superpowers would actually be shielded from this kind of disaster.
Shielded. How?
The thinking outlined is that the event would instead hit regions that are already vulnerable. Africa is mentioned specifically.
Why there, according to this view?
Because, the argument goes, severe water and food shortages in those areas would consolidate power. Not locally, necessarily, but for global players, perhaps.
Yeah.
Entities positioned to step in, offer aid, and thereby increase their influence and control. Centralizing power through crisis in the vulnerable zones.
So 2 starkly different motives, different targets, but the same catastrophic event.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway here, looking at both possibilities?
Well, it really hammers home that water isn't just essential for life. It's fundamentally about power.
Yeah.
If you contaminate a major water source, you don't just create thirst, you create uninhabitable zones, you force migrations, you trigger huge societal shifts, maybe even collapse.
It's a level of disruption that's hard to even comprehend.
Exactly. It forces us to look beyond just, resource wars as we might typically think of them. This is about making places fundamentally unlivable. So the core question that the scenario raises is, if water equals power, How does weaponizing or catastrophically altering it force us to completely rethink global stability, geopolitics, and honestly, the future itself?
It's profound. So, for you listening, just consider that. How could such a fundamental change to our most basic, vital resource, water, redefine the entire world you live in? It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.